Hi guys, SDJR7F88 speaking, with a bit of a different review today. Now, as some of you may know, last year a very interesting magazine hit the newsagents and supermarkets. It was made by Hachette, and with the magazine, the magazine was called Build Your Own Model Railway Village, and it's still ongoing now. But the introductory offer was a Mark I coach, and that took the modelling world by storm. Well, just recently, another modelling magazine has hit the shelves. Well, not necessarily a modelling magazine in general, but the product itself that comes with this magazine is very, very tempting indeed. And this is it. It is the Great British Locomotives collection. I'm not sure who it's made by. As I mentioned, the Build Your Own Model Railway Village magazine was made by a company called Hachette. Strangely, on this packaging, there doesn't appear to be one. But as you can probably see up in the top corner, this is the introductory offer, and it is £2.99, so for £3. And basically you get the magazine, which is, this issue is about the A4 Pacific, built by Sir Nigel Gresley. And you get a magazine about the real locomotive, with lots of information and history about the class. And also you get this absolutely stunning 00 gauge model, and this is what's really getting modelers, is actually this model. One for being and mostly for the price, but also it is actually 00 scale, and it's actually surprisingly well detailed. And I'll go in later on into this review. I'll mainly be focusing on the model, not necessarily the magazine, because people have done reviews of the magazine and they've done an excellent job of it. But I'm basically going to focus on the model and what some of the what this model can actually be used for. But anyway, before I get onto the model, we'll flip over the back, and here we are. It's basically a magazine collection about famous British types of locomotive. And as you can see, there are 4 ones that are going to be available in future issues. The next issue is going to be the Coronation and the Duchess class, and comes with this beautiful streamlined Coronation model. That issue will be £5.99 as stated there. I'm not sure if you can see that on the camera. But the normal issue after that, normal issues after that will be £8.99. And as you can see, there's also Flying Scotsman as preserved. I got a funny feeling most of these models that are going to be available are going to be as preserved. Yes, by the looks of it, most of the models that are coming up in future issues are preserved types of locomotive. So you can see we've got the National Railway Museum Flying Scotsman with German smoke deflectors in her LNER apple green livery, and we've also got a school class. I'm not sure which one, but it is in southern green. And then down here, whoops, off camera, there's also a list of other locomotives and there which are going to be made available in future issues. We've got City of Truro, Evening Star, Stanier Black 5, Deltic, Production Deltic, which I suppose means Production Deltic? Yeah, that'd be like a normal class 55 by the sounds of it. We've also got Stevenson's Rocket, Great Western Castle class, an LNER V2, Compound, and West Country Pacific. And also there's a few other ones that I've heard of which have also been on their website, which I think we mentioned on their like I just mentioned, we've mentioned on their website, which is coming up, including Fowler Ginty. Now that will be very, very interesting, as some of the things I'm going to explain about this, what could be done to this model, would be excellent for me, being a Somerset Dorset modeler. So anyway, I'm going to pause it here, and we're going to get the model, I'll peel the model off the packaging, and we'll have a closer look at it. So be right back in a second. Right, and here's the model, and as you can see, it is a model of Mallard. Now, I suppose it's only a natural choice to choose Mallard to be the model, purely because she is the world's fastest steam locomotive and one of the most famous of the A4 class, obviously for holding that record. Now, as you can see on the plinth, it comes on a plastic plinth, and it says 1938, Class A4, number 4468 Mallard, which is applied on a sticker onto this like sort of plasticky base. But one thing I can say about this model is it is very, very heavy, which is, well, quite heavy. It's actually almost as heavy as a proper 00 gauge model, but I'm sure we'll see once we get it off of this plastic display base. Now, as I mentioned, modelers are snapping these up for a number of reasons. Now, this model does have a number of uses. The first is obviously as it is. It makes a perfect display piece. Mine's not on the track. I have spotted a few faults in mine. Mine's not. Oh, now it's on the track. But it also has a bit of a glue stain on the side. Now, I will be keeping this as a display model, but I'm sure there's still a few of these about, and if I do want to do a conversion of one in the future, whoops, I just gave away one of the things that could be done with it, but I will obviously get one without a glue spill on the side, but this was the only one, the last one left in the shop, so I had to snap her up. So anyway, first of all is a display model, so you can put it on your desk, on your bookshelf, basically anywhere you really want to display it. And if you want to collect or subscribe to the magazine, you could build up the whole collection of the fleet of locomotives coming out. And I must say, they are not actually bad for detail. You've got all separately fitted handrails. We've also got this beautiful wheels and valve gear. Now, the valve gear, I can confirm, is plastic and the wheels don't move. As I have seen one of these open before, and as I'll show you in a minute, the reason why the wheels don't move. But the wheels are amazingly actually made out of metal, which is, I suppose, which really adds to which is why the model is quite heavy. But so yeah, I'll take it off the base and I'll show you the second potential use for this model. So I'll pause it again here and I'll find my screwdrivers and I'll take it off the base. So be right back in a mo. Right, here we are looking at the layout, and this here is a siding. I would have used my loco yard and engine shed area to put the this model in, but as you know, I'm doing quite a lot of work on it at the moment, so we're going to have to do it here. But basically, the second potential use for this model is as a static 00 gauge model. Basically, a static loco to look like it's you know, going to be out on service. And look at that, perfectly, oh, just about. Bit uneven, but the bogie does swivel around on the front, which makes it kind of hard to get on. Well, not really, but it has a little bit of play in it, not too much, you see. And also some of the flanges on the wheels are a bit out of a bit rough. But there we are. The front bogie doesn't want to sit level, but there we are. Should look half bad. There you are, but that's what you could. That's what the second use of it. You could use it as a static model on layout to fill up an engine shed, or even create a small scene like the National Railway Museum or Shillingston sort of thing. Well, yeah, and you can also build a diorama. Basically, it's a perfect model, really cheap, and it can fill up like quite a lot of space. I mean, I suppose if you are, you could even model a Barry scrapyard, but then again, the Barry scrapyard obviously didn't have any A4s there, and. But you could model a scrapyard, I suppose, with some of the other types of engine that are coming out that are a bit less, well, you know what I mean, like a Stanley Black 5, you're saying a bit more average service, basically. I'm sure you could really weather it up and, you know, go to town with it and make it look like a rusting hulk in a siding. But as you can see, it's doing this sort of job perfectly. And as I just touched upon there, the third use, potential use, is obviously as a base for repainting and weathering, a practice piece. Now, A4s did come in a number of liveries, and some of them on the market are not made in. At the moment, there's a few on the market, like Hornby Railroad, Batman ones, but there are certain liveries that are not modelled at the moment. There's the LNER Apple Green, and also, well, there is a model of it, but it's a railroad model, and it's the LNER Silver livery. And you can have a go at repainting this loco body shell. So for practice, basically. So if you wanted to repaint a super detail one or a Batman one, you have a practice piece to test out your paint on and to make sure you're getting it all right. You know, your technique right, basically. Also, I suppose you could do it as you know, just to test out any other paints on it, just to, you know, if you're painting another different type of locomotive, so, sort of. Well, basically, because, you know, it's practicing on a loco. Same with weathering. I practiced when I started, before I weathered a loco, I practiced on a static airfix kit, and it really does help you get the feel for a technique. Basically, I'll do you know, around the wheels and obviously around the sides. It'd probably be a bit harder on an A4, as obviously A4s were a bit more well looked after, especially an LNER livery if you're doing weathering and stuff like that. But it is, it can be done. Right, I'm going to pause it here, and then I'm going to go over to the light and show you it in better detail before I move on to the fourth and final use for this model, which is probably the most interesting and what quite a few modelers are raving about. So if I pause it here, and I'll take it off its tripod, and I will show you the model in a bit closer detail. Here we are with the body off. First of all, we'll take a look at the chassis. Now, there are two screws to actually get the body off, but there's also a third screw which can remove the brake rigging, which I have done to show you why the wheels don't turn on this model. And as you can see, it is a metal frame. It's quite rough edges, so mind your fingers. There are some. This model does have quite well, my particular one does have some sharp bits of metal where it's obviously been lathed and it hasn't been cut off properly. But it won't matter when it's on a static plinth or on a static display like mine will be. But you can see the rod rigging is plastic. It's held on there. So if you want to remove those wheels, which you can do, and people have done, to use them as scrap pieces, as they've taken these models apart and used parts of it as like parts for scrap and stuff, because it is a very, very cheap model, and you like I said, you could do so many things with it. So you just remove that to get the wheels out. To get the body off, you look behind the bogie pivot, and there's the screw there, and there's also one on the pony truck, which you can see I've left in place, holding the tender coupling on. Now I haven't taken the tender body off, but it does it unclips, as there's no screws on there, and you can see there's just under the tender there some little clips, well, not under the tender, just below the buffer beam. There's some clips there which can be popped out, and basically as you can see, you have a brilliant body shell for a double gauge model. Now you can use these. I've seen them being used on Batman chassis, and I've also know someone who I'm going to link in right now in this video. So there's a link on the bottom of the screen now, and this is to Intercity 3000's channel, who actually bought this model a couple of days ago, and he's actually taken the body off of his super detailed A4, Hornby A4. I know it's a bit pointless doing it to that, but the super detailed Hornby A4 chassis is the same chassis as on their railroad models. It doesn't look like it, but what they've done is they've just basically got their super detailed motor and all the wheels and everything, and just put really chunky valve gear on it to save cost, and obviously their really old tender drive body on top of it, which is not good quality. Basically what you just do is a little plastic shield in here, or is it metal? I don't know. It's basically a little plastic shield that simply pops out with the screwdriver by his little clips there, and basically that gives you the whole body shell as a motor, room for the motor, and basically you can pop this on top of the chassis and really give it a bit more detail. Basically, if you've got a railroad model, or if you've bought a chassis second hand sort of thing, it is the perfect. It's just a perfect match, really. And I'm sure you could do that with any of the other models, which will be interesting to see with the Ginty when they release it. It is, as I mentioned, it is much more detailed than the railroad model. It's got more cab detail. The overall look of it is better looking than the railroad one. The railroad one lacks some of these details on the side, and clearly this model has it. There are a few little differences on it, but I think that this would personally, you put on a railroad chassis, would really bring it to life. And at the moment, Hornby don't. Well, they do. It's in a. Yeah, they do. Sorry, they do a railroad train set with Mallard in this livery in it, but it's only in the train set. They don't do it as a separate railroad model in this Eleni Garter blue livery. So the potential is, if you do have a railroad A4, you can remove the body and put this on it. Or if you, some people are even doing it with A3 chassis. I've got a funny feeling. So say if you have what other model they do a Hornby Flying Scotsman. Well, obviously, but they do a railroad Flying Scotsman, and I'm sure you could put that this body on that chassis. So if you want an A4 Mallard, you can just take the Flying Scotsman body off. So I'm getting modelled up here. Take the Flying Scotsman body off and put this on. Although you will have to repaint the wheels on the body there on the chassis, though, as obviously Mallards are this crimson colour sort of thing. But there we go. So that's basically a review of the model. Like I mentioned, mine will be a static display back on its little plinth, but great value for $2.99. I can't wait to see what some of their other models are going to come out like, because the Deltic could have the potential to be a running dummy if the bogies are movable, that is, so you could put like coach wheels on it, hopefully, but that totally depends if the bogies do have pivot. Also, yeah, obviously we've got the Flying Scotsman, so you can upgrade your Railroad Flying Scotsman if if it's like this. Let's just say you can upgrade your Railroad Flying Scotsman to a National Railway Museum Flying Scotsman with the deflectors, and also the school class as well has potential. The Ginty has a lot of potential as well, depending on how good it is. If you find a second-hand Batman chassis or something, you can create really any Ginty you want, and there were many Ginties, so you could practice renumbering it. So anyway, that's all for this review. Sorry about it, it's been a bit of a mixed match sort of thing, but focusing on the model. But I just thought I'd get get out there some of the potential, basically the potential for this model. And I really do enjoy when these sort of railway related magazines come out. It'd be really good in the future if they actually just make one dedicated to rolling stock. After the massive success of the coach one, which was only in the first issue, sadly. But if they just did one dedicated to wagons, like a fortnightly wagon for like £8 every fortnight or something, depending on how good the wagon was, and it actually would run on 00 scale track like the coaches, that would be absolutely excellent. I'm sure they would sell, even at the price of £8.99 sort of thing. But anyway, these models are very, very good. I would highly recommend the magazine. Do get it when you can, if you see them, as I'm sure they won't be around for long. And also, please do check out this little running video from Intercity 3000, showing you the potential of this model on a motorised chassis. So anyway, this has been SDJRSNF88 speaking, and thanks for watching.